I just want to clarify one thing, because we had that lady who was very emotional just a couple speakers ago. I want to make sure the public's aware that if you currently own one of these reptiles, you're allowed to keep it till it's death. So no one's telling you have to go get rid of your pet or euthanize it. No one's from the state's going to take it away from you. So I think there's some misinformation out there, and I just want to clarify that for the people listening. Thank you.
There is substantial misinformation about some parts of the proposed rules, so I want to make certain that it's very clear that the final rules retain the provisions that allow pet owners to keep their pet tegus or iguanas for the life of the animal. No one will need to give up their pets.
Chairman, you clarified from many of the callers raising concerns about what they do about their pets. Their pets are their pets. They will continue to be their pets. And we made sure that it was very clear, and it's unfortunate that misinformation was allowed to penetrate out there, that it was otherwise, because it gets people emotional, and that gives me pause. But
the clips you heard were from the February 2021 FWC Commission meeting, where tegus, iguanas, Nile monitors, and the larger python species were added to the prohibited species list. What you heard from FWC commissioners and staff there was that no one was going to lose their pets. Nobody was going to be forced to get rid of their animals or have them taken by the government. That's turned out not to be true. We now know that many animals have been forced to be dispersed either out of state or given up or even confiscated and euthanized, killed by FWC law enforcement. If the true intent of these rules was not to take away people's animals, then FWC law enforcement should be enforcing it that way. These rules were written in such a way that people couldn't comply with them to keep their animals. So if you write a rule that sets such draconian standards that people can't comply, then they will be forced to get rid of their animals. Or law enforcement, as we've seen, is coming and taking those animals and killing them. So if the intent was to grandfather them in, which it obviously wasn't, grandfathering means people can continue to operate as they had before the rules were passed. That hasn't happened. You heard FWC staff and commissioners use the term misinformation there. They've accused animal keepers of misinformation whenever they have a valid concern about new regulations or rules or laws coming down the pike. Instead of listening to the concerns of animal keepers, they've just dismissed them as misinformation, and they go ahead and implement the rule. And almost without exception, our concerns turn out to be true. We said FWC was considering the creation of a whitelist regulatory structure. Now we see that FWC is going ahead with the creation of a whitelist regulatory structure. We were concerned about FWC confiscating and euthanizing pets. Now we see exactly that is happening. FWC law enforcement is coming to people's houses, to their facilities, and killing their animals. So when we have a concern, the proper response from FWC, a government agency that should be listening to its stakeholders, is to consider our concerns when they're writing the regulations, not just dismiss them as misinformation.